What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode number 12 of Flight Time, and today we're going to be talking about whether we think you should wait or if you should just pull the trigger and buy a drone right now. And it's kind of like the hardest thing to determine when thinking about buying something, and I think that's especially true when buying Sony cameras because they seem to come out with a new camera every single day.
Yeah, seriously, I would hate to be in the camera side of life right now. I think Sony just dropped two new cameras, the A6600 and the A6100. the number scheming doesn't make sense. And then Panasonic just dropped a new camera too, and Canon dropped two new cameras. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: those Canon cameras, I could care less. They kind of look ugly. What is it? The little I was literally, before watching this, I was just watching videos on all the new cameras coming out right now. It's kind of like an arms race when it comes to these cameras now. All these companies are really duking it out.
And I don't know, I don't necessarily know who's winning, but if I had to say the underdog of all this right now, if you're just doing video only, is Blackmagic right now. They are absolutely the underdog. Yeah. The underdog, but 100%. Like sort of the dark horse of it all is Blackmagic right now.
I totally agree. They're Blackmagic, the
6K.
Pocket, the Pocket Camera 6K. That's just, you see, that's more for like studio shooting.
$2,500, man.
How much is it?
$2,500, and then you have Panasonic, who just released the Panasonic S1H, which is geared towards video shooters. It's one of Panasonic's second full frame camera. 6K. Autofocus hasn't improved, but the color science is really good, like Arri Alexa good, and 6K, all sorts of different frame rates. It's just insane. It's a video shooter's dream.
Well, we're getting a little off topic here. The main thing we wanted to kind of say is like, these cameras are dropping like crazy, and we look at drones, it's the total opposite. And you would think that because not a lot is happening, that well, maybe I'll just wait a little bit longer because something is going to come out, like something is bound to come out around the corner. And I'm even scratching my head wondering what the hell we're going to see next, because I couldn't even make a prediction to save my life right now in terms of who's going to bring something to the table, what that drone is going to be. So, I mean, I would say right now, and I think that Ken will agree with me, thinking about it, right? If you're going to buy a drone or not, should you wait or buy one? I would say buy one, because I remember a video you made, just fly what you've got. Just buy one right now, because there's no better time than the present to start flying.
Yeah, and I think that's more so true now. Like when I made that video, I didn't realize, sort of the regulations and situation we would be right now. Not even speaking with drones or just regulations, but you got to think about the tariffs, especially if you're living here in the States. I guess, I'm going to speak to the broader audience too, because I realize we have a lot of people that are, maybe listening to us overseas, UK. I know we have listeners in South Africa even. And you guys may not have the problems that we're having right now, being able to import products in from China at reasonable costs. Back in May, the tariffs were at 10%. They increased to 25%, and they're getting ready to increase again for all products being imported into the U.S. And that's probably why we just now saw Apple announce their iPhone 11 announcement. They're probably trying to get all their imports in before this next round of tariffs.
Yep.
100%.
I mean,
sort of crazy.
And I saw that today. I saw that they released their whole thing. I'd love to see a new Apple Watch. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'd love to see how they can improve that, because I think right now, their iPhone, they've maxed out. There's really no more innovation that they can push, but I really am a fan of like the iPad and the Apple Watch, because nobody's doing wearables or tablets as good as Apple. But back to that tariff thing, I know you just made a video on the tariffs, like about Autel raising their prices, and you really... Yeah. You commended them for being transparent, and I saw a lot of people were agreeing with you in the comments. So do you think that DJI will raise the price of their Mavic 2 Pro again, or any of their products?
Here's what I think they're waiting for. And again, this is all just speculation. We're not saying things are a matter of fact, but I think we'll see we'll probably see the price of the Mavics stay the same. And I'll tell you why. Because the product's been out for well over a year now. We're going on a year and a month, right? A year and 2 months by the time October 1st comes around and they have to run those tariff increases. They're not going to raise the price of the Mavic because by now they have a backlog of product already produced, just sort of sitting there. It's been a year now. They've ramped up production. They probably have a surplus of Mavics sitting around. They don't normally, when a product's been around for, let's say, a year, you start seeing price reductions, but because of the tariffs, they don't have to necessarily lower the price of the Mavic. They can just leave it the same because that's their top tier product. Tariff hits, okay, we're going to sort of take it on the chin with the price, but we don't have to increase the product price and we don't have to lower it. They can't go up with that because if they did, people would be way more apprehensive to buy that given the fact that it's a year old. Now, if they bring a new drone, if they brought a new Mavic, like you look at those Mavic, like again, speculation here, nobody's taking things as a matter of fact, but there was supposed listings for the Mavic Plus Zoom In Pro. If those were potentially new drones, they may wait until after the tariff as a way to increase the price of the unit by marginally increasing the performance, possibly. That's just my thought from a logical perspective.
That would be pretty interesting. I actually never thought about that. I did see those listings. I'm really not thinking much of them. I don't think that we're going to see another drone. But also another reason when you see like these price decreases, it's usually because they've got something new coming out. But I think that DJI is in such a good position, and I feel like I've probably said this every single episode. They make the best drones. I mean, there's some other contenders out there, but there's no reason for them to lower their prices because people are still going to pay the $1,500 for the Mavic 2 Pro. Them raising the price by $50 had everybody so outraged, but at the end of the day, people are still buying it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a drone, if you want the best you can get, you're going to have to go with the Mavic 2 Pro. That right now is the best on the market for a consumer drone. If you want better than that, you're going to buy an Inspire. If you don't like DJI at all, you're probably going to buy Autel because let's be honest here, Unique isn't even a player in the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody's buying a Unique drone. I mean, maybe there's a handful of people that think they're just like amazing, but there's really only two companies that people think about at this point when purchasing. I really have seen like a massive slow up, and I really don't understand it. It's sort of hard to put your finger on. I'm hoping to see something new when I go to commercial UAV. I mean, usually that's where we start seeing like the breaking ground of new products. It starts in the commercial side and trickles down to the consumer side.
Yeah, I'm looking at Unique's page right now, and I mean they still have the Mantis Q on the front here, like it's their brand new flagship drone. This website hasn't changed in years. I mean,
I think Unique fired everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really surprise me. So let's think about it, right? If we're telling people don't wait, buy right now, let's think about what's on the market and what's viable.
And let's talk about who we're talking to, because like you said, a lot of our viewers that you're listening to this, you're listening to us because you have a drone. Mm-hmm. But maybe you've had a drone for a while. You got like a Mavic Air, maybe the original Mavic Pro, or possibly even the Phantom 4 Pro, and it's aging a little bit. We're talking about those that are sort of itching to get their hands on something new. We're not talking about people who already, have like the new Mavics, and I mean that you got the best you can get right now. We're talking to people that have had something for a while.
I'm gonna put a bold statement out here.
Oh God!
Did you say "Oh God"?
I did.
I'm gonna put out a bold statement here. If you are looking to get the Phantom, don't. And Ken look, hold on. So I almost like founded my channel on the Phantom. I bought the Phantom 4. That was my first drone. I bought the Phantom 4 Pro. I think that a lot of the people who are subscribed to my channel, and maybe a good amount of the people that listen to this podcast, they own a Phantom 4 Pro, and they might say, well, Billy, why would you say that? And I'd say because I own the Inspire 2 and because I even own the Mavic 2 Pro. Obviously the Inspire is going to fly better. It's more capable. It's more expensive. It has more features. But even the Mavic 2 Pro, there's almost no reason, unless I really want to like shoot at 60 frames per second, that I'm reaching for the Phantom. It's louder. It's more cumbersome in my opinion. I mean, yes, it really is a great, well-rounded drone. It's powerful. It's got a great camera. It's got great flight time, endurance. I guess the noise really isn't all that bad, but literally across the board, the Mavic is so much better and so much easier to use. And I know that there's a lot of people that are like bummed that the Phantom 4 is out of production, or it's not out of production, but it continues to be like out of stock on DJI's website. There's so many people bummed out about that. But I, for one, really could care less because I am not really steering anybody towards the Phantom. Like anybody who says, what's a good first drone? I never say the Phantom. I just look, if you already own a drone and you want the Phantom, I'd say don't. And if you're looking to buy your first drone, again, I would say don't look at the Phantom.
I will agree with you just simply because I've had 3 Phantoms. I just got one of them back. And I thought to myself this weekend, I said, you know what, I'm going to take it on this shoot. I was going to shoot in decent alike. And I was like, I want 4K 60. I took it up in the air and I brought both the Mavic 2 Pro and that. I took it up in the air and I started using it. And I'm like, man, it just feels very, I don't know, a little jerky, not as easy to control. And what I found was I kept getting props in my shot on certain maneuvers. I took it back down. I said, you know what? I'm just going to throw the Mavic up. And I did that. And I was like, you know what? You can't beat D-Log-M. You can't beat the control. OcuSync is just an absolute beast. Still getting 30 minutes of flight time. It's quiet, unobtrusive. No neighbors are staring me down. The dogs shut up as soon as I brought the Phantom down. I mean, it's a satisfying drone to fly. And I know that makes me sound like a DJI fanboy, but it's the truth. Like I've never looked at my footage and said, nah, I'm not happy with that. I've always been really satisfied with the results I got out of the Phantom 4 Pro and the Zoom even. I'm going to couple both of them in there.
There's just still something though, man. I really, like, as of recent, after I got my Phantom 4 Pro fully fixed, I hadn't flown it in a while. I went back to it after flying the Mavic 2 Pro and the Inspire 2 for such a long time, and I was like, I wasn't impressed. And since I made that video, I really haven't busted out my Phantom 4 Pro again, and I doubt that I will because the Mavic 2 Pro and the Inspire 2 is so good. So if you're sitting there and if you've already got the Mavic 2 Pro, I mean, look, your drone is the bee's knees. From there, if you already own one of those drones like the Mavic 2 Pro and you're really looking for something else, I'd recommend looking elsewhere than DJI because for me, even with the Mavic 2 Pro, there's no reason that I want to downgrade to something like the Mavic Air or the Spark even. I mean, really, if you've got the Mavic 2 Pro, that is a great blend of portability and power. It's not much bigger than the Mavic, and you get so much more bang for your buck. The Mavic 2 Pro is not much bigger than the Mavic Air, but look elsewhere. Look at the Anafi or look at the Evo because those drones are still great.
Yeah, it all depends on what you're really doing. Like for me, I'm glad I have the Parrot. I'm glad I have the Evo in my lineup because there's times where I need to have that instant unlock. I've already got approval to fly in an area. I don't got to deal with all that hoopla. I've got, a wide field of view. I'm accustomed to it. I've got 4K 60 at my disposal, if I need to slow something down for whatever reason. So there's a lot of benefit to having that. I like to keep multiple different drones in my arsenal. But yeah, I would agree to steer away from the Phantom. I know I made a video that I bought one in 2019 and I like it for certain use case scenarios, but honestly, if I think about all the issues that I've had with either the Evo or the Mavic, I mean, both of them have been, great drones. I've had limited issues. Any issues I've had have almost been, something I've caused myself, minus these swelling batteries that I'm dealing with. And
that's like a topic in every single podcast episode.
I know, man. I'm annoyed. I dropped $380 on new batteries for it because it's just gotten to the point where I couldn't fly it anymore. DJI did reach out to me, so I'm working with them because they were curious after I posted photos of the flights and the charges, they were sort of like, wait, what? Okay, you've had it for a year, but these other batteries are only 6 months old. What's going on with this? So they are curious about it. I had one guy ask me, he goes, what are you doing to them? I don't know. I'm putting them in the microwave. I'm flying. The hell do you think? Like, I don't know. I almost lost my crap with that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But all in all, I even see people like still holding out for a Phantom 5, which, you know, again, I'm not speculating on anything like that, but I don't ever see a need for a drone like that ever again, really.
Well, you know what? I want to go back to what I said about the Phantom 4 Pro, like steering people away from it. You've got to think about this, right? The Phantom 4, the original one, was released in early 2016, and the Phantom 4 Pro was released in late 2016, right? It was like September or whatever. That was released around the same time as the Inspire 2. And think about where the drone industry was in 2016 and how much it's matured now in 2019. I mean, it's almost 4 years old. Those parts and just the Phantom in general is kind of crappy. Like, I feel like that was when DJI was just coming off of making the Mavic Pro, the original one. The Phantom 4 came out even before that original Mavic Pro, and all they did with the Phantom 4 the Phantom 4 Pro was alter the Phantom 4's body. So now we are pretty much flying a drone from early 2016, almost 2015, and I know myself and a lot of other people are having a good amount of problems and issues with their Phantom 4, and that's just because it's old technology, and it's crazy that that's still one of the best drones you can buy now 4 years later. But you've also got to think about it. It's pretty old, which could lead to some issues. And if you're looking to buy a drone that you want to be able to get some longevity out of, they don't sell the Phantom 4 Pro as of right now on DJI's website. I think it's still out of stock, but also all of the accessories are going to be hard to come by because once the drone goes out of production or goes out of stock, all the accessories go very quick.
Yeah, that's true, and we're going to see that more and more as the weeks, progress. If there isn't anything new. I mean, this whole year is sort of shocking. I would have to suspect, them being a drone company and just in talking to other manufacturers, like they always said, they're in business to make drones. I mean, first, that we got to see something new eventually here soon. But I don't think that whatever comes out next would be something that many are going to say is worth waiting for.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be hard for DJI to come out with anything that people say, wow, yeah, this is so much better than my Mavic 2 Pro. I'm going to upgrade from my Mavic 2 Pro or even to Phantom. I mean, at this point in time, I feel like they actually could make some changes to the Phantom that would make people who have the Phantom 4 want to upgrade. I mean, again, it's like 4 years old. But here, let's take a guess. Let's look into the future. We know that DJI has to have something ready to be put out, right? What do you think is going to be their next drone, whether it be something that's professional or consumer? What do you see them coming out with next?
So here's what I do see happening is whatever that whether or not that was legitimate or not, because it's all the anguish and hype has sort of died down surrounding that supposed Mavic Mini. Mm-hmm. I can honestly see them releasing a very low grade, I wouldn't even say low grade, but entry level consumer drone. And I can see them doing this for a couple of reasons. One, to regain interest of new pilots, present something at an affordable price point. Because think about it, the last two drones that they introduced were well over $1,000. Oh yeah. It's been almost 2 years since we saw the introduction of the Mavic Air, and actually over 2 years on the Spark. So we haven't had an entry level drone from them in 2 years, we'll say.
It's crazy to think about that. I remember the Spark was the first DJI event that I went to. I've still got my original Spark, which, look, it's not a bad drone, but all of those guys who have bought the Spark, they love the Spark. They love those lower end drones, and just I guess the people in general who are looking to buy drones that aren't as expensive, something that's a little bit more toy grade with some of the features that we've come to love from DJI. I mean, they're jonesing for something new right now, and for DJI to drop like a Mavic Mini, it would sell like hotcakes.
Let me ask you a question, serious question. Are you jonesing for a new drone? All right, let's put YouTube aside. Let's put YouTube aside, because obviously most know, okay, we thrive on announcements, we thrive on new products. But let's put YouTube aside for a moment and just think from a professional standpoint with what we do when we're not doing YouTube. Are you jonesing or saying I need a new drone?
No, not at all. The Mavic 2 Pro is great. And the Mavic 2 Pro is great. There's no way that you really need anything more than the Mavic 2 Pro. I mean, the photos that come off of that are great for anything, whether you want to print them, you want to shoot construction, you want to shoot agriculture, you want to shoot real estate. And recently I've been mapping a lot with the Mavic 2 Pro because it's so easy. It's got a great flight time, and the one thing it has going against it is it doesn't have the mechanical shutter. And I want to pose this question to you, right? The mechanical shutter decreases the motion blur. So if you've got something moving in the subject, or if the camera's moving really fast, then you're going to get like a rolling shutter effect, right? It's going to be blurry.
Yeah, you'll get what they call you'll get what they call ghosting. And all right, so I shoot my real estate photos in 5 bracketed exposures, sometimes 3 depending on the situation. If it's windier, I'll shoot 3 to reduce the motion blur. When I did that real estate video, I had people, Lon comment, and he's like, I could tell that you shot auto bracket. And I'll tell you right now, Lon, you're full of shit, dude. You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell if I didn't tell you. All right. The way those things are edited, you couldn't tell. That reduces motion blur. So you're absolutely full of crap, dude. There you go. Now have a conversation in your thread. But
no, get back on topic here.
You can't tell, like, that shutter. You can't tell. It's so fast. You really can't tell. And I will tell you that in taking photos with the Pro that has a mechanical shutter, I can't tell the difference. Although I will tell you, I like if I did a blind test, I like the photos out of the Mavic. I think that the color science wins over any sort of motion blur. Now, where it does matter is if you're shooting traffic or a bridge or doing long exposure shots, where ghosting is an absolute real deal. When you're sitting there hovering, that is where a mechanical shutter will win when you're doing a long exposure.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But now here's what I'm talking about. I'm coming from a standpoint of mapping with the Mavic 2 Pro, and everybody wants to use a mechanical shutter, but you've got to think about it. On a bright sunny day, your shutter's at 2,000, 2,500, maybe somewhere around there, and the drone is only flying 7 miles per hour, say, 200 feet off of the ground. There is no difference between what I shoot with the Mavic 2 Pro and the Phantom 4. There really isn't, or the Phantom 4 Pro with the mechanical shutter.
Let me ask you this. Do you notice that you get more lens flare off of the Mavic 2 Pro, than you do off the Phantom?
I haven't noticed, but again, when you're shooting, I know that you're probably not asking me pertaining to mapping, but the camera's pointed straight down, so you're not going to get a lens flare. But
you're probably not there. I noticed
if I'm just shooting something, I haven't. So you get more of a lens flare with the Mavic 2 Pro.
Yeah. So I have to. This lady asked me to go out to a house the other day, so I went out there and I looked at the house because she needed photos like right away, and I said, "Listen, your house is facing." It's facing the east. I said, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Why don't we wait until like 12 or so to shoot, because we don't have a lot of cloud coverage. And I said, the sun is just like, right, you couldn't get a good capture, good exposure on the front of the house. And she was so adamant that she wanted it shot. So I literally sat there for 20 minutes, and every time the sun passed in front of clouds, I would hit my shots for the house. Like I need a different, So luckily I had a little bit of cloud coverage to work with, but I noticed that the Mavic doesn't do well. Like when there's sun or like a bright exposure behind, you get these like light streaks in your image, but the Phantom doesn't get that. And I wonder if that's attributed to a mechanical shutter. I don't know. Again, I don't know the science behind it. I can only assume that's the difference.
Yeah. Well, again, let's get back to your point where you asked me. You said if YouTube aside, would I need another drone? No, I wouldn't. The Inspire 2 takes great video. It's fast. It does everything that I need to, and the Mavic 2 Pro takes great photos and is portable. Like I could continue to use these drones, and I'll probably upgrade the camera on the Inspire 2. But still, putting that aside, there's no need for another drone at all.
When we saw these drones last year, because it's been a year now, when we're sitting at that event, did you think that they would have a shelf life like they've had so far? Like, did you expect them to still be this dominant a year later?
Yes.
Like when you saw that, you thought that, like when we saw them like doing the whole demo and everything, you're like, man, these are going to be around for a long while.
I did, because you've got to think about how long the Mavic Pro reigned for. It was almost 2 years. I mean, I figured whatever DJI would bring to the table, because I think everybody knew it was going to be like a Mavic 2. I mean, with all the leaks and whatever, everybody knew it was going to be a successor of the Mavic, the original Mavic. And think about how dominant that drone still was at the time. I knew that whatever improvements they made to it, it was just going to make it last longer. It was going to make it be so much better.
I didn't think it was, at first, like, when we sat through the presentation, I didn't think it was going to be this amazing until we got a chance to do the hands-on flight demo, and I was like, holy cow, these things are really well built. They're nimble, they're agile. I mean, I watched, and it was pretty windy that day, if I recall. I mean, we were flying around Brooklyn like it was nothing, and I was sold immediately, and I remember that I could not wait for that thing to ship. Like, I was stoked. I was super stoked to get it in my hands and get it up in the air.
Well, here's something. We're sitting here talking about new drones, and DJI actually just did release a new drone. Did you hear about it?
What would they release?
It's a new agriculture drone. It's the Agras.
Okay. Yeah, no.
It's the Agras T16, and oh my gosh, it looks awesome. Everything about it. It's got it's insane. You've got to look it up.
I'm sure it's pretty expensive, being an agriculture drone.
I mean, look, I'm looking here, and there's no talk of price on here, but I mean, it's got a radar system on it. On the bottom, it's got a radar system. It's got RTK. It's got the traditional dual IMUs. It's got 4 sprayers. You can put a 16-liter tank inside of it, and it looks like it's really easily interchangeable, so that when you get this drone down and you've got to switch the tanks, it's as easy as just pulling one out, putting the next one in, and going. You know what? I've been doing a lot of agriculture stuff recently, and I'm really interested in these spraying drones, because I think that it's not going to be beneficial for every industry, but they're so fascinating. I mean, to use a drone to spray pesticides, how crazy is that?
That is pretty nuts when you think about it. Just in general, it's pretty crazy. I guess I got to look more into the agriculture side of drones.
It's really interesting. It's a industry I never thought that I would even like scratch the surface of, but it's interesting. It's really cool to be able to see drones being used in these different industries, and I would think that the agriculture industry is probably the area that's being most affected by drones right now. Maybe search and rescue is number one, but think about how often you've got to try to find somebody. It's not every day,
It is pretty crazy. I was thinking today too. I was trying to. I think it's an M600 that you can mount cameras to. Somebody was selling one really like dirt cheap, and you can buy like different gimbals and things like that where you can mount like Sony cameras, Canon cameras to it. And I sort of want to get into more of the cinema grade cameras with filming these houses and stuff. I want to get the best capture I can in the most consistent color. And I think having an option like that would be awesome. Unless if it's like incredibly unstable, then that would suck. But I would be even happy if DJI eventually gave us options for consumers. Like, you think about that, the robot they came out with, you have to put it together, you have to build it. What if they had drones that were modular and you can choose how they were put together, and they sell them like they sell a base kit, and then you had to, instead of them selling a unit, you chose what components you mounted to that drone?
Yeah, it's very likely. In fact, I remember seeing something about DJI saying that they're committed to modularity in the future, which, to turn a profit, modularity is not going to be the best idea. There's a way that they can sell accessories in different parts, and they'll be able to make their money.
They can be profitable in that regard, because there's all sorts of things that go into a cost and effect of doing business, and if it means, okay, we're going to have different manufacturers across the world produce the products. Well, if they haven't produced the most expensive products here in the US, so they can avoid, let's see, tariffs. I mean, obviously these are not permanent situations, but that would help them decrease costs. And again, logistics wise, they can just ship components versus whole units. They don't need assembly lines anymore, because now they're just producing singular components, and you don't have somebody putting the. So I mean, labor costs go down. I don't know. I think it would be cool. I would be all about that. Then you can get the drone you absolutely want it. You don't have to worry about like buying, because right now people have to decide. Do you get the Zoom? Do you get the Pro? I mean, it's sort of a tough decision. I get asked all the time, Zoom or Pro, and it's like, okay, well now you gotta return fire with qualifying questions.
Well, I think that DJI is going to ride out. It's crazy to think this, but I think that DJI is going to ride out the rest of this year. They're not going to release any new drones, because they've made that commitment now. After 2020, they're going to be putting FlySafe in all of their drones. So I think they're waiting for that 2020 date, and then they're probably going to unleash their fury and probably go through and update their whole line.
The other thing that nobody seemingly answered either is whether or not older drones are grandfathered, or what the story is with that. There's too many what ifs right now. Well, with the whole market.
With FlySafe, that's something that DJI is implementing on their own. It's not like the FAA is pressuring them to do this, because no other drone is going to have it in there. So it's all about when the regulation comes. Like if the FAA comes out and says that every single drone has to have an ADS-B receiver, they could say, okay, any drone manufactured has to have one, but it's not required by the pilot to have one, or the operator, because as you can imagine, if they said, well, as of today, you cannot fly your drone if it doesn't have an ADS-B receiver, and somebody's got their Autel Evo, they're going to be pissed off. Or even if they have their Mavic 2 Pro, they're going to be upset.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I mean, I think, luckily right now, I think everything is pretty kosher in that regard. I don't think we have to worry about anything like that just yet. We're a ways away from having to worry about that. And that's what's funny sometimes when I read comments. People get so uptight over things that are not even a thing yet. You know what I mean? Like, we're so far away from ever having to worry about something like that.
I really want to get back to something that you said. You said you wanted to buy an M600 for real estate. Yeah. You know how big that drone is?
Absolutely. But
you would go through that just for a real estate shoot?
Absolutely, to make sure my colors and like my overall look and feel match. Absolutely, because right now I'm spending per video. If I'm doing color correction of two different cameras like that, inside outside, it's taking me right now 3.5 hours per video to color correct.
I think that you're going to
awesome.
Potentially, you're going to add more time to your workflow by just having to set that damn thing up.
But that's also the thing. I'm at this point getting into other projects where, I mean, the cost, they're going to assume that cost, like I'm getting into commercials for local companies and things where something like that, to be able to use a professional grade camera for things that are potentially going to be aired on TV, not YouTube, not like where I'm going to be signing the rights over to a video because the company says, okay, this is our commercial for, whatever it may be, here you go. Like that's where I ultimately want to go. I want to lean away from real estate, and to understand how to pilot these, you need one. You need practice. They're not like normal drones. I've been watching videos on them like past 2 days. Like if you look at my recommended feed, it's like all, cinema camera drones. I mean, they're not like, I'm trying to understand the mechanics of them. So, because the Inspire is cool. Like the Inspire 2 would be awesome, but to be able to take my camera, mount it, and go, that would be cooler, because you're not going to get it. Like, I mean, obviously it doesn't shoot ProRes, but it's one less expense.
I think that the compression on TV is probably worse than what you get on YouTube, though. You think about it.
Maybe it depends on like it depends on what they're viewing it on. It all depends, how it is and where they're going to display these commercials. A lot of these local shoots, a lot of these local commercials that Bright House or Spectrum does are just terribly produced. And they're using like lower tier people. So to be able to, tap that market and step in, it's going to open doors. And that's where I see myself going. Like I've slowed down like a lot with what I do for YouTube now, because I'm getting so busy with clients.
Well, that's awesome.
It's good, but I just want to get experience with that. I don't know if you follow him, but Airwolf. So he's working with, do you remember Droner? He was out at Spin Up last year.
Okay.
He's got Transient.
Droner?
Droner. He's got Transient Productions. So their drones, they're all cinema drones, and I saw some video of them. They mounted an S1H to a drone, and they were chasing a Bugatti, or was it a Bugatti? A Ducati in the desert, and it was in anamorphic mode, and it just looks absolutely insane. Like insane. The dynamic range, everything looks insane. But that's like, I'm obsessed with color in that. I'm obsessed with those things.
I don't think I'd trust you putting a drone that expensive up in the air.
I've only wrecked a few.
Wait, hold on. I gotta mention this. Did you see the screenshot I just sent you?
Let me look.
Talking more about this Agras T16 drone, this new agriculture drone from DJI.
T16.
They literally have like a generator to power the battery that goes in this thing. The battery for the drone is a 17,500 milliamp hour battery.
Yeah, you're not taking that on a plane.
and this thing charges when using the single channel quick charging mode with this like generator that you charge the batteries with. It can fully charge that battery in 20 minutes. How insane is that?
26,000 watt 4-channel intelligent battery charger. That is absolutely absurd.
This thing is pushing some serious power. I don't even think that you would be able to.
210 batteries look like wimps.
Yeah, it does. I don't even think that you'd be able to plug this into the wall. Like, you would need multiple outlets.
You would need a Tesla. You would need like a 220 watt, 220 connection. Like what you'd basically power a dryer with.
This is.
Oh no, it does.
Stuff.
Yeah, it does actually. It looks like on the side here, that's a 220 plug. Again, I get you guys can't see what we're talking about, but if you get a chance, go check this out on DJI's website. The charger is insane.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find this site.
How much is that?
I don't know. With all their enterprise products, they don't really release their prices.
They don't want to have a price on that. You're gonna have to call somebody for that price.
Well, as always, we got off topic. Look, at the end of the day,
there is no topic.
I know if you have a drone right now and you want to buy another, don't wait. If you are a first-time drone flyer and somehow you stumbled across this podcast, don't wait. Just buy one. I would say, look, DJI is not going to release anything like crazy serious until after 2020, because if they release something beforehand and if it's like, you know, the Inspire 3 but it doesn't have the FlySafe system, it's just going to kind of be like irrelevant after 2020. Like it's going to be outdated already. So I don't think they're going to release anything substantial before 2020.
And one thing to note too, you know, I know because you made that bold statement about the Phantom. We're not telling you if all you can get is a good deal on a Phantom, like somebody's got one for like, let's say $700, $600, crazy deal. Yeah, sure. If it's your first drone, take it. There's no harm in buying something at that price. If you know it's a good deal, go for it. You know, obviously some drone is better than no drone, and we can't be like drone snobs with like, if it's not a Mavic, no dice. But you know, if you find something like that, yeah, for sure, go for it.
My mom told me this, and I think that I think like this is like a motto I live by, and I think that I almost take it to like a whole like different level that I probably shouldn't. You know, she says if you buy it cheap, you buy it twice, and I took that motto. I use that motto with everything. I mean, like if I'm going and I'm buying like a phone, if you buy it cheap, most likely it's gonna break. And you're gonna buy another one.
That's
and that's how I came into the drone scene. It's how I came into the drone scene. I thought to myself, I'm going to buy a cheap drone. It's just going to crash. It's just going to break. Let me spend my money on a Phantom 4, and I was happy. Like I was the happiest I could have been because I spent a little extra money on a great drone.
I mean, for drones, when you're flying, yeah, you don't want to go cheap because there's the potential for things that happen. Like I see people talking about this Hubsan Zeno all the time. Never personally flew it, but it just seems cheap. It looks cheap, and you know, I've felt one. It just feels cheap, and it just doesn't. It looks like a Mavic, but it's not a Mavic. You know what I mean? It's like it's just not.
I got to fly it when it was on like an earlier version of the software. So like when it was first released, I got to fly it down in Texas during spin up, and I wasn't impressed at all. I would never recommend anybody buy that drone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for some people, if you just want to toy around with it, sure, go for it. But I'm with you there. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, well, guys, thanks for tuning in. You know, if there's a potential possibility we're not going to have an episode on Monday and Wednesday and maybe Friday because Ken's about to battle this hurricane, which good luck with that. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Still live afterwards.
Sunday, I'll know more. Let's hope for a wide riot because I know we've got a lot of listeners here in the southeast United States, so we'll see what happens. Luckily I'm in Tampa, so maybe it goes wide right or it's weekend by the time it hits over this way.
Yeah, awesome. Well, stay safe, Ken. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will catch you next time.
See ya.